Well, if people can remember on Monday, Radio Democracy been start for assess President Bill in 4 year in office as April 4 this year go make the president exactly 4 year where Salone people and be vote for inside 2018. Well, we don't look at different sector them. Today na the program we will focus on the education sector where now one pan President Bill in New Direction manifesto area them during the will be the campaign. Now one by the sector them will be the lay emphasis on say if Salone people and vote for it go make sure say it get rank to the education sector. Well, after I been win the 2018 election and be president inside August 2018 again, we still say the president been launched the free quality education initiative when I want party team the way talk about inside the New Direction manifesto with plenty other team them where according to that 10 day now the team and this way it go do for make sure say it get ranked to the education sector. Well, 4 years down the line today, we get Dr. David Senge, we are the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, for can give reports of how the education sector don't they thrive and waiting government don't do for make sure say they get ranked to the education sector as they be promised, and also go they look at still them where they been promised inside the New Direction manifesto if they don't able for do some parenting then the. Good morning one more time, Dr. Senge, and welcome again to the program. Good morning, Salome.
Good morning.
All right, as I don't state inside the intro, people they expect for let you go give a report today of waiting President Bill in administration don't do, but the education sector as from 2018 where President Bill been be president. You can just start for give a report to the listener them, let them know waiting and waiting what they're able for do.
Thank you. It sounds like a simple question but a difficult question because I can start with the manifesto, I can start with the SDG 4, winner the UN Sustainable Development Goals. But maybe you might talk about, usually people that most start with quality. People that can talk about free quality school education, winner the flagship with President Bill launch. What's in free quality school education entail? You get several different components, but the first part is free tuition to the parents. That means they come right within a public school, government or government-assisted school, not the pay school fee. Today in this country, 87% of the schooling are public schooling. Out of 12,000 schooling within this country, 87% they get subsidy. Picking where they go, they not the pay school fee. That's number one. So a free tuition to the parents are the free components than they. Number two, we say they pay examination fee for all picking them. For basic education, primary NPSC and Becker, and even worse for private schooling until last year. So, but for now, all picking within our government and government-assisted school, governments they pay tuition for them. Government they pay well over $7 million this year. No more, they pay $5 million for WAS, about $2 million I think for Becker, and $1 million for NPSC. So then are the second component of the free access. The third component have been teachers. We say they provide teacher then, they provide teacher to the public school then. Government then recruit well over 12,000 teacher then for new teacher then and for replace teacher then at then school then. We don't train over 24,000 of them teacher then over the last 3 years. But up than they, we don't increase the salary by 30% in the year of COVID. Where COVID did April 2020, we increased the salary by 30%, increased the benefits by 10%, and then we give them several incentives and then provide tablets for them, principal and GSS and SSS, and we roll a pilot for pre-primary school. Pan the free quality school education, we still provide teaching and learning materials. We don't provide book then. I just come on my broker yesterday, I've been Bombali, I've been Lonsa. We don't see people then get book them all over the country. Core textbooks, teaching and learning materials, sporting equipment, we've been still the provider and the other component are school feeding. We say we increase school feeding. We don't expand school feeding pretty much in every district in this country. The only side where school feeding only in the western area, rural and western area.
Education na Salone and Louis Alpha government don't go in the area them here. So make we start with the teachers them. And although we look at the promise we government be make to teachers then and Alpha government don't go for enhance some of them thing they also way then be make to then teachers they also before 2018 election and after 2018 election, as president or government been promised, each and every teacher we don't get 10 years experience now the classroom for gets in Peking for enroll na universities or 3 picking of improve distance education and also housing scheme for the teachers them. How far that don't go and also the pin code issues.
Sure. We've been under improving the conditions of teachers, about 16 them will promise, right? The first one, we saw the review the functions and making TSC, the Teaching Service Commission, functional at all the districts then. We don't do that, we set up office, we get TSC DD them all over with TSC, they review and work with teacher then. The second one, under improving the conditions, we say we provide special incentive scheme for science and French teacher them and teacher them in a remote area. What thing we do, one part the incentive, then we extend their retirement age. We say teacher them where they teach science and French, they know they retire at the time where they want to retire now. We push down the winner an incentive, and same with special needs. They continue for incentives, not to one incentive no more with the teacher. We say they introduce the best teacher award. We don't do that the last year, and we celebrate the teacher then in a salon and internationally. With the staff quarter then, we not begin build staff quarter yet for teacher then. So then in a one pandy area then we in a policy conversation what they get. But I know say inside cabinet we don't discuss various housing scheme them we colleague minister then they bring, and inside then debates then we always always advocate for teacher them. Then they will not start on it. We say they provide free university education for 3 picking them of every teacher we get at least 10 years. We don't do that. As of last year, 127 scholarship then MTH don't give to teacher them. The 30 years experience now used inside 2019. Because if we just come SLG, I think there are about 5,000 SLGs in the give. If you just can, you say, okay, now for teacher picking the number, you give all man, they know other person that will get on. So in the beginning, we been over ambitious. So they give all man, we get 10 years in experience, but we'll come back and in our governance, we say no, if we do 10 years, other people they not go benefit. So we'll do 30 years teaching experience, and I'd say over 120 scholarship then we don't give that day. Last year we move on down. So we do the 30 years and then we'll be there to 20 years. The teacher then we benefits, then apply. The teacher then we apply then benefits. I want to say something about this. You know, usually people then can say, oh, I'm not sit down, they not they happen. But you get for apply. You picking get for pass, first for go university. You picking get for apply and go through the process. Then in the give, I know because we categorize them teacher benefits and today I see well over 127 people that don't benefit as of last year.
In case you just tune in, they listen to Dr. David Senge, in the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. Today, in the program, we continue to look at different sector them as they assess President's bill in administration inside 4 years. April 4th, go make them 4 years. So today, in the education sector, we they look at. In case you get questions, send them to 077 981 981, or if you watch on our Facebook page, drop your question or your comment through the comment section. We'll try to read them later on as the minister they with in the studio. Mr. Minister, I'll bring you to the area we talk about increasing access to quality education. You already talk about constructing schools under the increasing access to quality education, now the free quality education under the New Direction Manifesto. They talk about constructing at least primary school in every administrative section in every district, at least a secondary school in every administrative chiefdom or electoral ward, and at least a senior secondary school equipped with science laboratory in every electoral constituency. How far that promise they don't go?
We don't go far, Panande. In fact, the primary school one we meet immediately. We primary school in every ward, administrative.
All over the country.
All over the country. And we get GPS on that, so that data available. GSS will be, because we use data.
Then schools them way una meet, una renovate, or una start for construct them as waiting una write na the manifesto from scratch.
We construct or renovate some in then ward but for primary school. For GSS, we will do the data. 16 chiefdom them in they will never get school. We establish immediately. And what thing we do, because we're able to build 16 schools then for see when I start, and then picking them in the benefits, we make them go afternoon shift. So the primary school will be in that chiefdom day. We identify a good primary school based on the location, and then we put GSS1, then start GSS1. Because because we not build school for them immediately, but we recruit teacher them and send them teacher them. Now then community then school then location then the priority right now with the build over 105 classrooms right now. We don't start that process there. Then 16 district, then 16 chiefdom they will start as priority.
As a Minister of Education, you go agree with me, say, for build school or for renovate school now one, but for equip that school day for make the learning environment for the picking them convenient or comfortable when I one way for encouraging for going to school na two. Where many a times we don't they see pictures or videos them we can come on at some schools them na the remote area them picking them not they call on the authority then say they need equipment them, especially sitting accommodation and then school there so we lacking. Wetin una go do as a ministry for ensure say this particular aspect we seem for missing and then school there so una put on there?
Look, if you think about what it means for get school, as you say, not to just school, not to just the classroom. School include the picking and where inside the side only the sit down, the blackboard, the learning, what they happen, the teacher, then where they just over the last 3 years, we don't build or renovate well over 500 schools. It's not to last year or end of last year, I go open about 323 schools, blocks across the country. With the EU building and EU renovation, we launched 100. President Bill Nigerian and open 100 schools. ECD, we get about 60 schools. So then the data there, I can report on that, well over 500 newly constructed or renovated schools. Inside the next couple of years, already started this year, we build 100 and something classrooms. Depends on the schools. Over the next couple of years, 3-4 years, we get resources already within the pipeline. We just there for implementing the project. So they build 504 classrooms. Okay. With these 504 classrooms comes with furniture. I mentioned, say, we building classroom, and then we get over 19,000 furniture we will distribute with the classrooms where I mentioned within the EU project and with the with the Ebola support project. We will launch then 300 and something classrooms. So we did build furniture, we did provide furniture, but unequivocally, we know say people then still they win at ground and they sit down.
So what thing will happen to them people there? Because if they talk about free quality education, some of the successes them,
sure,
as they report today to salon people them, then they say for be inclusive.
Yes, of course. We the Nadande Nine planning. What we can, we add 7% of the population, 30% increase, so 700,000 picking them. They add 700,000 people them, and then you say they provide chair for all of them immediately. But the great success actually, and we all mandate talk about globally, that the system not implode. For example, learning outcomes during COVID last years. Almost every country reports say learning loss take place. Salon, at one point, the only country then we learning loss not take place, where we maintain we learning and we just do the learning assessment for SSS independently, and with the EGMA what we do. Not so by magic that they say you able learning loss not happen in the year of COVID where other countries then they report learning loss. We agree say not to every school, not to every place get all the appropriate sitting environment, but learning they take place.
Why
So
so
let me
be
look at-
build then school there, so Mr. Minister, una be get some of our priorities them straight, because if you do embark on constructing schools, neither renovating some of them schools there, so sitting accommodation, everybody go they expect say for be one of the ministry in top priorities say. Then students they are supposed to get accommodation rather than then get the structure but then sit on a ground.
No. So no new school now they will don't build or renovate, we will not give furniture. The furniture problem then where they talk about now for the old existing school then. Not so new school. Oh. Any new school where we build or classroom will build the count furniture. So then okay. Now the old one then we exist. And also people then, people then can just grab and say they want open school. And if you just grab before, we get now guidelines where you need for apply CR1 for open school, we approve who say for open school, and then just open school, you expect say teacher then for go on payroll, you need for take a couple of years. What's happened over the last couple of years and before is that people then just grab say, I want open school now. Okay, now can't get teacher, they will not get teacher then. Oh, now I need furniture, can't support with furniture. One thing that we don't develop now the ministry where for me, I can tell the teams that the best tool that they will ever see. Today, now with ministry, if you can't tell me, say I want open classroom, add classroom, or build school, would they put metric, we get now with computer, would they calculate remoteness, how far away that school day from other school or from major town. We get poverty index, with the World Bank and the statistics alone do from 2020, would they adjust time. We get number of population, would they adjust time, a press run. If they calculate all over the country based on outside the school day and tell me say, now they for put classroom. Now they for put teacher.
Talking about infrastructure, one of the promise then for eliminates the now for count to single shifts now all the schools them, but with all this explanation where you don't do and all the strives them we see government don't do, we still they see double shift even na Freetown.
Yes.
What's in the happen with the elimination of the double shift them na schools them?
The double shift they na the major cities, Bo, Freetown, McKinney. I don't think it's a Cambia get double shift. For example, you get a particular location and we double shifts, we don't eliminate double shift. But the thing with double shift, if you get school then like Rokel, we get a couple thousand picking them. It get for take several years in which the admission of them school and they, because you know they will build classroom then they, right? But of them school and the compound done. And so you get for the admission, get for reduce, then still be, if they take 500 people from one, they're not for continue
Mr.
for
Minister,
500.
just say it get for take several years,
Yes.
sir. But we not been take that into consideration
but could school
while
don't go
putting
one
the
shift?
manifesto together.
We
Because
did.
according to the manifesto, una say within 3 years,
Yes.
una go remove the double shift.
Yes, okay.
And now they say so many things then they where they come into play, where they make I take to long years.
Yes.
Whilst the manifesto they say within 3 years, and this is 4 years.
Sure. And we're not even done that within 5 years. And this is why CKC don't go one shift, FSSG don't go one shift, and the Watch don't go one shift, Boku convents go one shift next year. Boku people and they get for go one shift.
But some of them school and they now the assistants of some of the old people, they're not to government.
But now, education, all man, and this is an important message as well. Where people they can talk about education, people they like to say, oh, there's a free quality education, but they buy shoes for me picking. Oh, free quality education. Education as a country now the most important priority where we all partake, and where president build a leader and so for we, you na kumbrao, you na teacher, you na old girl, you. Now we all responsibility. I don't talk about how much government they spend, 22% of the budget, millions of dollars every year by education. That not mean say if you're not a good citizen, you waiting a board, you know they contribute. No, that we never said that nobody therefore do education again. That governments want they do free education.
As we talk about the free quality education, we now one of government flagship programs them. Well, earlier I asked the minister about the teachers them. We are one of the most important components of the free quality education, but we colleague Songa go na different schools them na Freetown and talk to some teachers them as to what in exactly then make up of the free quality education.
Yeah, you can use them to supply you books, pen, pencil, uniform.
Constraints. We are not well paid according to our expectation. The lead teacher is supposed to have 3 million, and in 1 million, some millions is not enough for me. And I stay far away. Gravity, I pay two way to return. So the costs are too much, and I've worked for 34 years. No, up till now we don't have subsidy. When you compare subsidy,
we feel disappointed because waiting it been seen in manifesto is like now been just words on the paper and no action has been done. Wherein like me not a victim of circumstance, wherein I don't get a PIN code over 1 year plus. Don't get PIN code. I believe say no sooner I don't get PIN code, at least I'd expect something for begin come out straight. But then you go see teacher they get PIN code, go to 1 year, going to 2 years. The PIN code is there, but no money is coming on. Oh yes, then decorate with the pin codes, but the money, not if it been done, they see strike them from elsewhere, from Kenima, and other parts of the country, wherein people and they cry, say, I don't get pin code over 1 year, and until this time, at least I'm not able to receive nothing yet.
The SS are receiving 60,000 per child, GSS 50 per child, but we the primary are having 10,000 per child. So it's not enough for us. We have so many constraints in school. Sometimes when they enjoy themselves, we are the ones that take our own money to go and take care of them. So it is too much for us. The money is too small. So I want the government to help us to improve. Let me say, at least if they give SS 60,000, GSS 50, let them give the primary 30,000 per child. Salary condition.
The working condition and the salary.
No medical facility.
And yes, no medical facility.
No housing.
No housing.
Because by the time they say 2 o'clock, I'll pay 5,000 from Bombay to Grafton. It should be 4,000, but as soon as they say 2 o'clock, I'll pay excess. So that's why I'm in haste to go to my house now. So that's
like for me, I've been done be promoted as senior teacher, but until now, only some of me competent at the school, they not reassess there about we 2 days where they not reassess, and at the 1 year they go so some of the lapses then we government they do. What would be the expect say that for them reassess we salary them. But few of we company then now they no more than reassess. Like me and my other colleague, they not reassess we salary it. They say let we wait until this March. So 1 whole year we don't know if they get for withdraw back. And if they not withdraw back, we're waiting at that day. That means to say we work for 1 whole year for nothing. For say the other hand, then they walk past we, where they reassess, then they left we. Time here, so subsidy no it. See, they not give subsidy it. See, up to now. I know we get volunteer non-pin code teachers, but principal, and I go before give the detail. I don't want to tell you.
Where that now some teachers them they give them take about the free quality educations, and my colleague Joseph Songa been saying we should talk to some school picking them we talk about their own opinion about the free quality education.
Yeah, they can supply you books, pen, pencil, uniform, exercise book, and government learning, and so forth.
Quality education in better small because they will be they pay school fee now, they pay school fee, but in better. But it's not all the government will promise free, they don't give it at first. Like the books there, so they don't give the books there when we promise, but you know, give back and also they teach you fine.
Now the free quality education, now they would live on. So I appreciate her so much. And if you don't count books the way they stuff like we, I will appreciate her for that. I would tell Papa God 10K back, let God look over for we. No, and not give we uniform, the baggage, but I hope say it they give we. Let more look over the free quality education because it try best. But why watch teacher then they try apply effort to help the free quality education.
I don't know, yes. When the government can say they will put things in place for the school picking there. When the picking is young, and I really the parents and now they get the body because I really suppressed. Because the teacher call for paper, call for this, call for sports, call for Thanksgiving. I will not say when the government cancel, we can say can't take care of the picking there. I feel say all things fall in place.
I did Lesterwood, 13K Lesterwood. I get to the go government school. Pay for sports, I pay for Thanksgiving, I pay for jump, but who 15 they already call for pay. Like that jump person say teacher in bad day, me teacher in bad day for pay. They pay for her. Me teacher married anniversary, me not married. Me go pay for teacher when married or me not married. All they have 15 and they boku me brother. It's money I don't done so. For take care of picking number for go school. Where you get down they lunch, teacher go say if you not buy, you need come on do. Teacher go say buy me own sausage first. Waiting picking number night they go for some for buy.
Yeah, they can supply you books, pen, pencil, uniform, exercise book, and government learning, and so forth.
Quality education in better small because they will be they pay school fee now, they pay school fee, but in better. But it's not all the government will promise free, they don't give it at first. Like the books there, so they don't give the books there when we promise, but give back and also they teach you fine.
Now the free quality education, now they would live on. So I appreciate her so much. And if you you don't count books the way they supply agree. I will appreciate her for that. I would tell Papa God 10K back, let God look over her for we. No, and not give we uniform, the baggage, but I hope see it they give we. Let more look over the free quality education because it is trying best. But why watch teacher then they try apply effort to help the free quality education.
All right, so that's now students them, we na the direct beneficiary them for the free quality education, be they talk inside our Vox Pop the way Radio Democracy go na different school them for talk to the school picking them. Well, we reporter Usman and Sumana Bangura be also talk to the Kumra them na different community them we then self talk about the free quality education program.
I did long yes. When the government can say they will put things in place for the school picking there. When the picking is young, and I the parents and I ready body because I really suppressed. Because the teacher call for paper, call for this, call for sports, call for Thanksgiving. I will not say when the government cancel, we can say we can't take care of the picking there. I feel say all things in place.
I real Lesterwood, 13K Lesterwood. I get to the go government school. Pay for sports, I pay for Thanksgiving, I pay for jump, but who have 15 they already call for pay. Like that jump person say teacher in bad day, the teacher in bad day for pay, they pay for her. The teacher married and if I say me not married, me to go pay for teacher when married or me not married. All have 15 and they boku me brother if it's money I don't do so. For take care of picking up for good school. Where get down they lunch, teacher go say if you not buy, you need come on a do. Teacher go say buy me own sausage first. Waiting picking up one night they go first and for buy. So then they all boku me against self I want pull and self government school I go pin a private school.
So it's on community. Yeah, I get 4 picking away they go government school. Yeah, they don't carry two exercise book, non-textbook, 2 exercise books, and from the SS then are two exercise books, and the GSS never couch book. Friday collection, then the access on teachers and they will not get PIN code. Every Friday, would they give 5,000 and say for help, and not say compulsory, but for all help the teachers they will not get PIN code. So they say and say that school fee will not pay, but we pay them teachers.
Well, I don't know. Me no notice that it. Me picking them where I get right now. They not come to me with government materials. I don't know whether because of the time with them enroll because like now second time them begin for attend school. So maybe that is a reason. But they no I not ever get school materials from the school where they go for now.
Adele Staud. I get 2 picking. Mama teacher say they can go the assignment to for pay 5,000. The assignment with the money now they go together. Like that sanitary pad, 12 Miguel picking the way they go school, they don't count and they say then give them at school. Then even book safe, then give them two ledger book where they say they supply them. And where they supply them, they say for team up, then snap them as well. Now line for sure say then can go the books then at school. So then give them two ledger book. At the same thing no more, it not to improve at all. You know they stand it really go beyond safe. Past how we be there first. Because now we they still pay for assignments or not be they do that before. Then the education system is very poor because the pikin they complain say no they teach them better in our school. Some they pass with there for the pay for the lesson, later they go lesson.
I didn't smile at all. Yeah, I got about 3 pikin over the go government school. Well, all me can say is that this free education scheme wouldn't count. I just like the old one no more. In fact, if it worse than the old one, you don't understand because we expect this for create a big difference to we picking their lives and in as much as we picking into your lives as well. Because we expect certain things in the way we still they do we not for the do them again because now all only the presents be included inside this free education. Yeah, they don't meet me several times to tell me say daddy we get for pay for assignments and I get to picking any way they go. Now then community school yeah in as much as when our government help them you don't understand and get so many teachers there we then can cry say they know they pay them so we can contribute on that weekly basis for them you don't understand just for them we picking up will acquire good education like for the assignments that level because I get one with just says in 5,000 we are in a kick out some billion 2 assignments don't me 2 picking and on that daily basis we can contribute for them teacher and they can give them 2,000 any week just now for them all keep his teacher and glue with Pekin because we want the best education for Pekin. Because if we don't say we wait for this free education, the teacher then go on away and then school and they are in the school they go and say and they get in as much as help from the government. Well, and they may not call a package, you don't understand, because you know go give Pekin one green book and that book they put a tag and see if you have Kine loss and the company go pay for her. We are in that book. Like 1 grade 10 from we Ghana power and 1 grade 10 we don't see that if 2018 to 2019 period we in Ghana power and it's massive do that thing there. Since then now we not seen any other supply and see any other package again. Just telling a frack customer.
The program na Good Morning Saloon where they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. You didn't get from the parents, teachers and school picking them. We na beneficiaries of the free quality education. We still get the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. You don't get from parents, teachers and also school picking them. But the concerns of the free quality education and then people are na the beneficiaries them. What do you make up of all them concerns here where you don't get from the different sectors of the free quality education?
First of all, I'm glad that they read this, that we they interview and speak to different people. I just want to talk on the general highlights about how the different perspective then they, and then I come back to what they call metrics, and we actually judge. You know, some man they say, oh, I don't know, so how it been there. So more not left from people's opinion, where we actually use specific things. If you take the baseline, what's how been there 2018 to now, and more comparing, I will do that there in a second. But also, my count of the teacher then. I say we don't add and recruit new and replace well over 12,000 teachers then we'll give pin code. Of that then, how many? 10, 20, 100 get problem with them, we know we then get mismatch. We don't give opportunity for NASIT. We don't go with the DJ of NASIT. Now every chiefdom from Big Bed and go correct them NASIT. With NCRA, we don't give them multiple times. But then teacher then self no, they want to get them problem and they can't tell me. They name na Mabel, the other one saying that na Francis, I name na NCRA. How government's gonna pay you? Government's not gonna pay you if you name na Mabel, but now you NCRA na Francis. It's not possible. So not so an issue of governments get well over 35,000 teachers on payroll. A teacher then they pay force every month. 1 month so they in this country where teacher go they not pay them. Once you name them na payroll. Where you get PIN code, you still get to go through validation and verification. And like I say, somebody see teacher then they strike. And then one day every teacher strike in this country from where SLPP kind of power. One day.
Talking about that PIN code, now one way the teachers them will talk to be lay emphasis on, and they even describe and say in a furniture PIN code government give them.
For them 1, 2, 3 people then they waiting to tell you, they not go verify. That teacher, they made the teacher count. It's always there's somebody made the teacher count to me.
Mr.
If
Minister,
teacher say na make count to me today, I will take and go NCRA.
Mr. Minister, apart from that clip the way we play inside the program, even concerns them because now social media and the new way for let people channel them concern them, which I believe say you effectively they use. Now one side and the way teacher they come, they don't they raise concern, say government don't give we PIN code, but up till now no they get salary. Subsidies now one way they also highlight.
We go cancel the
they
subsidy.
say from November to now, they not even get subsidies. And some schools, out of that in subsidy government they give them, and then they pull for pay teacher, they will not get PIN code yet.
We go cancel subsidy, separate, PIN code. I they invite any teacher. We don't do this multiple times. Any teacher will say get PIN code, they know the pay. If you go to any DD office, then go addressing issue. Then teacher then they know they show up. If teacher say get PIN code problem, make it show up. Me as minister, I go holding hand. We go NCRA. If they not verify, may come back to 98.1. Now the challenge and they okay. We don't talk about PIN code for always 1 or 2. I they invite any teacher now in this country. Any teacher in this country we get PIN code, we say they don't go through the process, they don't get American. Me, I go holding hand, we go now NCRA, may go verify.
Now we look at other sector of the education, we don't be challenged to parents them, we now the half money within the corner, different schools them. Somebody go sit Beke or MPSC, forget school, then go ask for 2 million, 3 million or 4 million where the money come them and then a concern we then don't raise and even where they live in our communities they get them concern from Kumra them.
Yeah.
What in the ministry do for address some of them issues here now the free quality education?
So, listening to the Vox Pop, down there, I read and they come up a lot. And where we can go yesterday, I see I just been there at 3 districts yesterday.
Now, you first tennis for your reading issues in there?
No, but here's the thing. Corruption day. We get 35,000 teachers on payroll. Actually, 81,000 teachers in the system. Then teacher then they go thief and lie. Some of them go thief and lie.
You just
principal then
you just
we get 12,000 teacher principal then. Some principal go thief and lie in the same way we know. So corruption day. We are if you listen to what in the Peking then say, very different assessments from what in the then teacher then will sample.
Mr. Minister, you just confirm say corruption in the education sector.
Yes.
We don't be a stumbling block for let government able implement some of the policies and the free quality education.
Yes.
There is anti-corruption commission where 1 or 2 terms when I get a good working relationship, you don't post pictures, you and the anti-corruption commissioner. What really you don't do for fight this corruption in the education sector?
Yesterday, my team and anti-corruption commission go down one site where we get corruption. Almost every month, the ACC commissioner they send me letter with case then with and done review. Almost every month, we they take letter and send them to ACC. We get an excellent relationship with anti-corruption commission. But just because you catch thief man one day, that means they thief again tomorrow, or in brother and cousin don't go thief again. No, people then they thief. So back to this. People then don't send me message. Somebody say private school themselves. I don't hear read but case where teacher they go to the assembly say they graduate. Many people then give then lunch.
What did they do in their situations then, or what in the education sector they do in their situations they are so where schools then they demand money from Kumrada where they're able to pay for making them picking their attendance schools.
Here's how we can all play a role. Okay, if you not Kumbra, we not all then a PTA. If then Kumbra then they not pay, if you say that what's then go, most say all the Kumbra then a PO, then say they all they pay. What's going to happen? The school will lock. The school not will lock. But what's going to happen is get 1 or 2 Kumbra and we still they pay. You self they participate in the corruption. If somebody say can't pay for me graduation, then you pay. You self they participate in that contribution.
So you call on
the whole country. If you they pay for corruption, not pay, more see what's going to happen.
So what's the comrade where they listen to you now, where you don't call on them, say they not pay for anything we get for root corruption at schools.
Yes.
And then comrade and they know say it go affect their young school picking the way they go to school. And with all the issues there, that's where you don't mention, Mr. Minister. Somebody where they listen go and say the corruption at the school then bigger than your strategy, the way you want for implement for push the education sector.
President Biobin say corruption defects back, and we don't see that the corruption defects back. And I still can talk to the actual, in spite of all the challenge, then the how Salone get the lowest number of out of school children in Western Central Africa. So what's in
the war with President Bio declare against
with the feds? Hey, war not to one day the feds you win them. They come out all kind of angle. But this thing about teachers and principals, I go na my broker boys yesterday. My broker boys they get 100% now the best school in the country. Now government school, government owned school. Then they can second we ranking only because the school we can force now Kenema. I think only about 9 candidates old and saying. My broker boys unequivocally the best school in the country. Government school, same problem. They not get teacher then, they get community teacher then. You know how much go the principal they go to school? 5:30 every morning. Mr. Atoke na PA been the teach me social studies. 5:30, Mr. Atoke go write in them. Picking the way can then they sign. Teacher the way can then they sign. At the end of the day, book of life then they sign. They know they take money in a picking hand. Then picking the way I go there yesterday, perfect decorum, perfect respect. Then sit down, the school clean. The senior prefect can say pull me to the side. He want to tell me about the challenge then. You know, Mr. Minister, our beds came, our mattresses came, but there are no beds. See, conversation. No, the picking all the SS1 picking then they take the assessment exam. Then they take kind of like that exam, then they sit. The principal, now the same subsidy that principal they get like other principal. My land, this is really important. If they print in continuous assessment paper, the picking then go take a malpractice no day. If a mark paper, it see same marking scheme no day, they give second marker in school. Not so magic. But then I go PO, me na PO I go. Now the same school me start to Kevin they teach. I go na classroom na PO. SS3 picking there. The agriculture teacher, I know one day go this in second term. First time, I call her with the principal. I say, Mr. Principal, go call this teacher here. This teacher been on campus.
Okay.
He can't with her. Teacher, now you don't pick and say you don't want to teach them for second time and fourth time. Now one time you go there, the principal tell me say you don't get a query, the man respond, but Saturday when they take lesson. I mean, not to minister, not to president, you get for go na PO. Me self na PO boy. Yeah? That principal get responsibility for managing teacher then for me then go class. If the picking they go school every day, that teacher day, no one day go second time. If for shame, the principal for shame, the board for shame, we all shame, and me ashamed as old students. Me then go na boys school.
How about you as a minister?
As minister, well, me as minister, me has been just wow. Yeah.
Right.
If you go na Morel, they will go yesterday. I've been late for kind of small. The picking them all sit down. The girl picking them where they did, the boy picking them, they know they get problem. Moraldo, then get Boku teacher, then we not get pin code back. The same problem. But it comes down to leadership and community. The chief then will be there. All the side then where I go, the chief then participate. How many local leader then na dance area na Freetown or we participate in school then? How many local heads they go na then school and know what's in the happen? You go na Mathura, you go na Moraldo, you go na Magro Cowboys, you go na Bow School, and back to quality. We don't see Panwas and Beke. Our government schools are doing better. Our government students are the best in the country.
Okay.
Both school, then they compete with the best, with Zenith Nabo. Moraldo beats Alma, Magroka boys beats Alma. The top school then we can Panwas. Kenema then Kamo, Magroka, Kabbalah, Benguima, Falaba can force.
Right.
Not so magic.
What now the working relationship between the Minister of Basic Education and also the Teaching Service Commission and the Salon Teachers Union for CC? Some of them things that way they happen, we come and they complain of when I get them back off now.
TSC chair they with management meetings. TSC they participate. I get quarterly meeting with SLTU, CPSS, NACOT. Even yesterday where I go upline CPSS them in the CPSS the Conference of Principals, they always they talk. So we get an excellent relationship. Today, sir, we get meeting with private school owners, head of all the principals, and GSS and SSS na Freetown. We get meeting with them today, 4 o'clock now, FSSG, I think. So we always the meet, sir. Also, I've been one in terms of the corruption and waiting will they do the question with Khadija being asked. 86 na the toll-free line. Anybody can call 8060 and lay any complaint about education. We they review each and every one of them.
Network?
All network 8060. And also now all we school then we get suggestion box, FQSC suggestion box where then they can lock and then they happen.
Mr. Minister, this line not seem for the on because as soon as you
know they're on right
mention,
now.
Yes,
8060.
Currently switched off.
All right, so keep trying. They on.
But how active this line go they for
Active.
make them go report because as you announcer now it is off and
active.
We don't okay. Now we active and then meetings are when they get waiting can be the agenda of the discussions they are so
Today
in
we dey talk
relation
about
to waiting they happen on the ground.
Today we dey talk about school attendance. We know say Pekin can attend school, and you know, and the teacher they know they attend school. We don't hear this complaint. You hear at the vox pop set. So we dey meet with all the principal entity and for discuss down the private school, mission school, government school, all man. And then you know back to I like for focus on the thing them where we don't do learning outcomes. The highest number of Pekin they take MPSC and Beke and pass than ever before. MPSC this year 77% pass rate. 124,000 Pekin and pass. It plenty pass the one then we take MPSC inside 2018 this year. Same 103,000 Pekin and pass. We plenty pass the one then we take Beke last inside 2018 78% pass rate. And the as I mentioned, private, mission, government, it don't matter. In fact, our government speaking and they do better this year than before. WASP pass rate this year, 64% of all papers passed. 151% increase since 2019. Best candidates, common rural areas, best districts, rural. Enrollment, we don't do well over 700,000 picking them. We don't meet gender parity. That means we get as many boys as girls in the country. Salon get the least amount of out-of-school children now West and Central Africa. this happened recently.
Mr.
We
Minister,
get a curriculum across all the units them. Now we are one of the only country in the world we get updated curriculum from basic pre-primary all the way to senior secondary and including civic education.
Mr. Minister, I'll bring you to one of the highlights them that the Vox Pop they all listen to, where it gets for do the school subsidies, where the teacher them be the emphasize on. Earlier I asked you, but you say you go candy back.
Yeah.
So let's just use this opportunity for talk about the subsidies. What really they happen in that particular area there?
You know, data with ministry and education, data are the most important thing. If you add one school census wrong and the head counts wrong, now the corruption they begin. Now the problem then the day. School then they pass where I get me that meal and they go file at school then for make them complete the annual school census. If you not complete your annual school census in time, we not the able for pay all man because we don't want to pay 20% or 70% or 80%. So we need for our school leaders participate in the annual school census because that they will use for determine the number of picking that we get, the number of teachers that we get, and then but you get Boku principal and then not they participate and pass we get for mona them and follow them. And even with there yesterday I meet team gonna Mashaka one school day we get suspicion say then inflates the number, then school then still the inflates number. So the delays of subsidy they come from the fact that the data generally incorrect and the data
some of them delays there, Mr. Minister, lead to the corruption we yourself don't agree say really they disturb the education sector for let government no don't do some of the things they yet with them being promised. And if you talk to certain teachers them, then go able to disclose to you say because one, they're not comfortable, they know they get their subsidies on time, they know they get salaries, the one they don't get PIN code. Now then they make most of them not can go to the classroom them, they can prefer they arrange private lesson them where some comrade we want let them pick in and get the education and they pay for them private lesson then they. So with the implementation of the free quality education, government they implement them, they put huge amount of money, but you know they reflect to the students them, they prefer take private lesson. What are some of the things them or new strategy where you think say you and other stakeholder about the education sector for do for try for reduce some of them things here?
You know, a chicken and egg problem. If you not get data, you know they pay school subsidy on time. If you not get school subsidy, you say. But the best teacher award, I've been volunteer teacher for 8 years. They not paying for 8 years. They volunteer na Kenema. Today, one of the best teachers. Profession of teaching, a profession of love and a profession of service. Person we would turn teacher. We want to turn teacher because the beliefs say they contribute. And not they turn teacher for money. Like I say, would they pay all man with they on payroll. But no teacher, no true teacher. No, they say, now because then they pay me 2 million, I make another teach fine. I make they go take corruption. We get teacher then within a classroom, and we get thousands of them who they do this. But there are teachers where na money, now they drive them. They want this PO teacher, this agriculture teacher, and a PO, then they pay, they get salary. So you know they go teach, they go take class. Look, so I want from where we separate bad teachers from good teachers. More separate people than where they go teaching them more for say, oh me, I just want for can't teach for 1 minute. They accommodate from professional, passionate teachers. There are people where they be small, they tell them mama and papa, then say me a teacher I want be. That teacher they is satisfied with the money where they get, and they satisfied with the teaching way they do. You know they go collect rescue money.
So now we look at the investment in the education sector. You self-mentioned, say government don't invest a lot in the education sector. And this now a couple of for don't put in other areas for investing in education. And sometime back, you been lead the delegation or you been there part of a delegation. We're going to the Global Education Summit for raise money for support education. Salona, one of the countries them we've been there part of that support. And just last week, we get the Irish ambassador now. You talk about the commitment in education. Yeah. So huge investment in the education sector where people they think say then kind issues now for they come up again. What's not the missing link that government they invest so much in the education sector, but plenty problems then they and comrade them they pay the price.
We've been stats bad sign and not the reality. It's so more might explain this. I mean, don't use foundation before. Now think about what's how they come on a tap. What's not they just come on a tap or more assume say quality education now what's how they flow, yeah? For me, you get that what's how they flow. You get for dig hole. You reach inside the rock there, you break the rock. You go even further so that when dry season can water go still flow. Then you put a support system inside that well there. Then you put pipe inside the connector and say then you open the tap, there begin flow. You know, they just grab, you turn switch on, you say, oh, quality education, water the flow. Oh, pure water the flow. So what thing happened is that the system, there was no basis, a core basis. And this I can talk and we can take very specific data. Number of qualified teachers in the system, gender parity in the system, number of out-of-school children in the system, number of approved schools in the system. 87% of our schools are approved today. We have well over 30% more children in school. We have gender parity in basic education. We get the public school and they do well again for the first time. We get classroom, then what they build. In terms of global level, Salone, President Bill, the co-chair of the high-level steering committee, where they determine the agenda for education now the world for SDG 4. Not to fool the world full where they take President Bill make and co-chair. Not to fool them where they make me co-chair of the technical committee where they determine the UN Secretary General in transforming education framework. And because COVID can, we keep school open. We picking them all lose learning. We still there. We don't expand technology data. We just develop education sector plan. Now then the validator. This is now a 5-year transformation education sector plan we don't develop. We include all man inside that process. We don't move radical inclusion, special needs. We don't expand the teacher them. Capacity within the ministry. We don't hire school quality assurance officer, then give them bike, give them tablet, non-formal education officer, then annual school census. In terms of education financing, 22% of the budget. We get the World Bank project, 72 million free with partner. Then with President Biogo UN and DC inside last September, he talked to the president of the World Bank. Now they don't bring additional 50 million. But we get for build systems now. It's slow process of water where they come out inside, and now we don't begin to the water down they come out, and that water they never end.
Building again. A system, and earlier when you start for talk now this program, you accept the government plan or promise them being over ambitious. And
they were yes. Transformational vision that they work towards. We won't stop until we meet all.
But you be accepted them being big, and now
as they should.
Yes,
it should be big.
And you accept plenty of the things that we government promise not do them it.
I not say plenty. So I get actually the manifesto before me. I would run through and 6334. We saw what they do and we do and implement
the one
free
shift system
education project. We do and I might go through all the one there because implement new fund for education. We do and enhance capacity of education planning. I just talked about with ESP and ESA.
Housing for teachers and then schemes and they being still get challenged.
Now public private we do NGO coordination we do ME system we do capacity of inspectorate we do SMC we do depoliticize boards we do increase government budgetary allocation to 20% we do develop new policy and legal framework we do improve coordination we do strengthening management we do promote social dialogue with SLTU we do review functions of TSC we do introduce best teacher we do provide free university we do distance education we don't do free quality education to preschool we do promote ECD we do expand and improve school feeding we do promote inclusive education we do subsidize buses to urban towns we do establish functional literacy now every chiefdom we do support special literacy programs for women we do launch a program for civic education we do and develop curriculum and materials for education
it's about how best you do and forget the impact on the people where they implement
it is there if you look so the one that you mentioned then they in yellow we're not doing it. Improve development of curriculum.
Mr. Minister, we don't get enough time in the program. Now, the manifesto day before you.
Well over 80-90% of education, we don't do one. We get 10% we get for doing they work towards.
The manifesto day right before you, and we self get the manifesto with all anything that we don't highlight say una don't do. If government really don't do them, why still the people that are the beneficiary them? They complain say some of these things where government been promised in the New Direction manifesto, they not benefit from my diet.
If you read in school picking them, yes, pan the vox pop, it's different from what's in the teacher them in the say. Myself, I can kind with vox pop, we go play 100 vox pop, then go tell you 100 but the good thing what they happen in the education system. So now about what they ask, now about what side they go. But if you actually just take the data, benchmarks, not to me they say, take any UNESCO data. take any UN data now this world within the talk about education and measure Salone.
So how
Salone
much in the implementation of the free quality education program and in policies them way for strengthening the education sector una don't carry along physically challenged people? I ask you this question.
In terms of physically challenged, yesterday I just made a blind school now McKinney. I go carry them bus. You still the beginning they glad. Then beginning they know me they go school. We don't provide bus them for the special needs na Kabbalah, na Kono, na McKinney, na Freetown, the deaf school, na Bo. We don't provide braille and vision for all the picking them we did it. In terms of we provide audio recorders we did it. We don't provide all the policies and now they put inside.
I ask you this question because Ready Democracy gets a whole program where now for physically challenged people them week in week out. So many concerns they come out from them, say then they feel left out.
It is
true. They know they get subvention on time. Some of them schools then they pass and they organize programs for raise funding.
So
for
actually
themselves.
on the subvention, now the first 10 business alone, we special needs institution get 1 whole year subvention paid.
After so many complaints.
No, before now by quarter then they pay, including we said last year now by quarter. But this year we paid them in first quarter for the whole year. And then one day happen in this country. One day. So we they listen. And then they happen because we listen though. Because we engage them and say, hey minister, school and all the open, hey minister. We say, okay. President Bio instructs, we pay them then 1 whole year subvention inside first quarter. And the one day happen. We believe in radical inclusion. Anytime President Bio they talk about radical inclusion. And radical inclusion means say the guy picking them, the one that we get special needs, the one that we poor, the one that we the out of reach, would they provide for them. Finally, picking them, people then can say, oh, President Bio say they buy uniform, they say they buy bag, then President Bio say they buy bag for picking them.
All right.
Where they go again are applying. By the way, it's so difficult for applying. Yesterday you see some school like all the picking them where pass, they all told wood in their head. I not stop because I began for go me to I the one that why make them picking them they told you may see picking them they told wood in their head and Freetown.
Okay.
But if they see picking them they go school with plastic, then they go, then they learn, then they study, then they do well.
All right.
And for me, the most important thing now for my education go before now the comprehend, the picking them. If you read the picking them super excited about education.
Thank you.
The good teacher them, and we all need for play we role.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Dr. David Senge, for you come na the program can get report card of waiting President's Bio administration don't do for the past 4 years na the education sector.